I don't know where it is.
All right, it being 7 o'clock, I call this meeting of the Village Board of Fredonia to order. Our first task is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
That's not a task at all, that's fun.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Clerk Johnson, could you please do the roll?
President Lenz.
Here.
Trustee Iper. Here. Trustee Frank. Here. Trustee Abeglin.
Here.
Trustee Dorward.
Here.
Trustee Searing.
Here.
Trustee Van Roon.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Please note that the public comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Please. Your name, Charlene Landing, thank you.
There's so many people in this village that don't even know it has a name. When are we gonna get a sign? So people that come through town can see it's Freedom Park, it's been there a long time. Then my second comment. How do we go about enforcing an ordinance, say for example, shoveling snow on the sidewalk within a 24-hour period or cutting grass at a certain height? How do we, as a community member, go about having that enforced?
I can respond to that. You can call our office and we'll reference the ordinance and we'll send out the appropriate department head to take a look. And we can issue a citation or a warning letter based on what the violation is. Okay, so just call us anytime.
All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a weed commissioner?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a weed commissioner as director?
Yes, it's Eric.
Yes.
And actually, Charlene, I'm sorry. Just so you know, we're sending out weed letters next week. So Eric is keeping track of lawns that aren't being cut in an appropriate manner.
Because there's a lot of open property, the building side, that's just.
Yeah, he's aware.
Yeah, there's 3/4 going to be great.
There any other public comment? The next agenda item is the consent agenda, approving the minutes of the May 15th Village Board of Trustees meeting, approving the general fund water and sewer invoices, and approving trustee Searing as designated elected representative to McMahon Fire and EMS study.
I'll move the consent agenda. Is there any more bills?
No.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
We just signed it.
I'll second it.
Just signed.
Sorry?
Just it.
Sorry.
We're going one at a time. We're just on A right now, correct?
No, so the consent agenda is handled as a whole. So Don moved to approve the entire consent agenda.
I had one question about the invoices on B. It looked like there was a massive late fee that I saw on there at some point somewhere. And I want to know what was that, like, what was that fee for when, you know, what's the scenario behind that late fee?
The one credit card bill had a late fee on it. I guess they didn't receive it in time from when it was mailed to the due date. Just hard to get late fees at the time. I guess I could have paid it by mail, or by phone, but I thought I had enough days from the board meeting to get it in there by the time of the due date, but I guess I missed it. So like tomorrow's the due date on this next one, or this current one, so I've actually phoned that in this week to pay it, so that's why it's listed as a manual check.
Any other questions, comments regarding the consent agenda? Don, you made a motion? Did you? All right, and Just, so then, all in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Reports on village committees. So the next item, the Board of Review. Sat my first Board of Review. The Board of Review goes over the assessments for the village. We saw a gain of $636,100 for the assessed value of the village of Fredonia in the last year. The assessment ratio for the last year was 97.71%. At the meeting of the Board of Review, Assessor Schmitz filed the assessment roll and provided a summary of the annual assessment report. It was examined by the board. No omitted properties were found. No double assessed properties were found, and corrections that were identified during open book were verified that they had been made. No residents were present to review the assessment data. No objections or notices of intent to file an objection were filed concerning the assessments. It was a rather eventless meeting or Board of Review. The next item is a report on the Planning Commission.
We met last Monday and we had a relatively short meeting. The only thing on the docket was a ordinance 2025-03, which is on the recommended for us to review tonight. It basically is a ordinance to recommend that that some of our standards are like for the industrial park, that we don't need to require them to have stone fronts or certain design elements. Pretty much. It's up to our discretion. That's pretty much what we talked about
Thank you.
later.
Thank you. Items for discussion, for action and or discussion. Motion to approve Tiffany Bartz as zoning board of appeals alternate, term expiring 2028.
We will move to appoint her to that position. Second.
Second. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? Passes. Motion to approve memorandum of understanding between the villages and towns of Belgium and Fredonia for the continuation of the Joint Fire and EMS Advisory Committee. Administrator Jenkins, do you have anything to say about that?
Sure. As you all know, the joint committee met a couple weeks ago. We had trustee Searing there as the village's representative. They looked at just updating the MOU. So an existing MOU was created a few years ago that encouraged, again, all the communities to come together to collaborate on fire, EMS, and paramedic issues. So we just updated that agreement, again, to flesh out the items that they're going to be researching and giving feedback on, and two, to create structure of that committee. So it designates who's going to be a chair, how often they serve, designates the number of members, and just provides more clarity to that, what that board's purpose is and what that makeup is moving forward. So it was recommended from the committee to each of the 4 jurisdictions. 2 of the 4 have already approved, and then it's on your agenda tonight too as well.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve memorandum of understanding between the villages in the town of Belgium and Fredonia for the continuation of the Joint Fire EMS Advisory Committee.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? Passes. Item C, introduction of ordinance 2025-03 pertaining to design standards in business and manufacturing zoning districts. Administrator Jenkins, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. Trustee Frank gave a good summary. What this really addresses is right now, there isn't a path forward for a manufacturing or a commercial business, if their design standards that they propose don't meet the exact things that we have in our ordinances, there's not a path forward for them to at least explain why and make their case why they would want something that's different or outside of our ordinances. So typically, they could go to, a Board of Appeals, right? Or they can have varying options, or our ordinance would give the commission that discretion to decide, okay, yes, we typically allow, and the example was, we typically would require 50% stone facing along the manufacturing building, but because maybe that doesn't fit the area or of where the development is happening, we as a commission are going to waive that discretion. And so what it does is it just gives the plan commission more of that discretion. In the days when we had our architectural control board, they typically would have given that guidance. But now that that all rolls up into the plan commission, then the plan commission should really have that responsibility and ability to do just that. So that's what that discretion gives as we're updating the ordinances. And if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Is there any public involvement in the public hearing?
No.
Nobody showed up? Nobody showed up. Anything to say?
Thanks for checking.
12 minutes? 15, something like that.
Yeah,
Nobody. Just us in the room.
This is a first appearance for feedback, and then it'll come back for you for a final reading next time.
Is that required after it's already been through?
It's a clerk
Yes.
question.
Fortunately, this process is a 4-meeting event.
all right, so
Yeah.
There's an exception. I don't think there's a good reason.
Did somebody down there have a question?
yes, trustee Dorward.
Might it not be easier and more accurately addressing all of these problems if we just simply reinstate the architectural control board? Which we shouldn't have taken apart in the first place.
But the ARC board wouldn't have the authority either.
Correct.
So the ARC board wouldn't have had the authority either under current ordinances to change the design standards in these zoning districts.
In residential districts.
These changes are only for manufacturing and
In industrial,
Commercial.
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 What do our current ordinances look like for that? I mean, do they seem fairly strict where we're concerned where we're gonna have to?
Yeah, so I can give you a recent example because the plan commission just dealt with it. We had, so 9 Ladies Dancing came in. So because of the use of the property, they're surrounded by manufacturing, but because they're putting a dance studio where they are, that's actual business zoning. So they came in and asked, well, we have a metal building, just like all my surrounding neighbors are going to have, so we can fit in with that neighborhood. And because of their business zoning, they can't have a metal building. And so in this scenario, the plan commission agreed that, well, it makes sense for you to, 1, fit the same vibe of that neighborhood, and 2, what if they go out of business, right? And we end up turning that into a manufacturing hub. We wanted to be able to match the aesthetics of the surrounding neighborhood and for that use. So again, it just gives that discretion. They don't have to do that, right? They could say, no, sorry, we want you to have another type of building. But at least gives the plan commission that discretion to allow that.
Does somebody want to put up metal buildings in the industrial?
Say it again.
Does somebody want to put up metal buildings in the industrial?
Metal buildings?
Metal. Steel
Metal?
buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all of them are metal.
What he's saying is most of the facilities going up are manufacturing, but the 9 Ladies Dancing is a business. They're not manufacturing. And so like the ordinance would be different right now for them. It wouldn't be a metal building, right? So
Yeah, well, they were trying to propose to match their neighbors. Yep.
That's one of the reasons why we disallowed completely steel building without facades in the front end. was the inability of a steel building to maintain its good looks and integrity all the way from the ground up. In an atmosphere like that, in business, zonings and in manufacturing zonings. We wanted to make sure that the industrial park wouldn't turn into Tin Pan Alley. I'm using some of the words that were thrown around back when we instituted this.
Mm.
Um,
And so the manufacturing code allows metal buildings, but it also asks that they have a 50% facade, like you said, of stone. So that's what's in the code. But in that scenario, the plan commission has the discretion to say, well, it doesn't need to be 50%. We only want it 20%, or do this and do that. So that same level of discretion is what we want to give to the other zonings as well. That's all this change does.
okay. I just want to see him coming in with a design that has 2.5% of the front facade is a little stone across the bottom. So I mean, that would defeat the purpose of the ordinance.
Yeah. And ultimately, plan commission has that discretion, what they want to do.
What I read, checking out what the ordinance was looking for was a path for them to appeal. And is that appealing everything or just certain parts of the ordinance? They can't appeal like a setback.
No. It's only for design standards. Yeah. It has to be specifically design standards. All of our other requirements for height and setback and area, safety requirements, right? That's all still in place. Yeah,
Okay, so these are just appearance items?
correct. Yeah. So for example, if they wanted to do what Dollar General did and ask for different sizes of their parking stalls, right? They had to go before the Board of Appeals. And so that still would be required in this case. Yeah.
I guess the planning commission always handled this from the planning commission as far as aesthetics and how the front of the building is dressed and would you rather put, instead of half of the front, would you rather put a quarter of the front and run that around the two sides and whatever? They would address those requests and alterations to the strict code. And at that point, they would come up with agreements that, okay, we would massage this code so that you're still hitting the spirit of the law.
Yep.
Not the exact letter of them. Why couldn't we do that the way the ordinance is set up now?
Because the ordinance does not allow them to do that. I'd have to pull that up.
Did we take that out for some?
That I don't know. But what you described is exactly correct and exactly why we want to amend the ordinance.
This facilitates that. This facilitates the ability to follow the spirit, if not quite the letter of the law.
Mhm.
But currently the ordinance don't allow for that.
All right, this is, then it's gonna just support in writing what the planning commission had been doing all along,
Correct.
which made common sense, which is referred to in the ordinance. Upgrade as a common sense and this. There's nothing more valuable in an ordinance or a code as common sense and logic. It's more important than the numbers, even though the numbers are. Right,
Great.
There any other discussion? And we'll table this until the next meeting. Is that correct?
No.
Oh,
yeah, it's.
Just no action.
moving along, all right.
It's
Sorry.
fine.
All right, item D, motion to approve Strand change order number 2025
To be determined.
to be determined for installation of public lift stations along Innovation Drive. Administrator Jenkins.
Yep, I'm just pulling up that section of my packet too. So I'll give some background since we have some new board members. We've been doing the industrial park in phases. The first of which was a grading effort that has finished up very recently. Then installation of utilities that are underlying the road. And then followed by curb and gutter, which actually just came in this week. So if you guys want to go take a look, it's pretty nice. And then paving that'll happen over the next 2 weeks. The final piece of this is the installation of public lift stations. So again, these will be in the public utility. We maintain and we control them. It's a very long story, but the short story is due to the restrictions of the entire industrial park lot. The final grade of the lots ended up being slightly lower than the grade of the road as it continued to come in. And so in order to get septic uses from those individual lots to our utilities, we need to install these individual lift stations to make that happen. And so again, we budgeted, it was originally $5.6 million for this entire project. We've been funneling and allocating those dollars in each way. So this is the final piece of that you would be approving. It's about $450,000 to get that part done. And then we'd be left with a little under $300K left. But again, this completes the project. It's the final step. We're done. We have the land graded, we have utilities in, we have the road in, and then people could officially start building and connecting to our lots. And they're planning on doing that. I'd say it's about a 3-week lead time. So once you guys approve, they get all those equipment ordered and then they install it in about 3 weeks.
So this is the second showing of this ordinance, correct? We can act on this tonight?
We're past the ordinance. We're on the lift stations.
We're on D now.
Ordinance 24.
We skipped past that.
Yep.
We'll be
not
100% done with everything, so water, sewer, power,
correct. This would make us complete.
so people can start building.
Yes. 2.5, 3 years later.
And we'll have 275,000 approximately left in tip.
Yep. As leftover debt proceeds. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
are we
the-
gonna do with that? Just pay
Um,
off our debt?
do you want my, yeah, I would say, do you want my honest answer? Yeah, you shouldn't spend it and you should hold on to it and collect a little bit of interest that you can, because the day is gonna come when they're gonna come a knocking for principal and interest payments, and we may not have the increment to generate that. And so, yes, we would need those dollars.
Okay.
That's the same thing with the interest that we earn there, any future lot sales, that would all accumulate into that same fund.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I'll make motion to approve the Strand change order number 2025 to be determined for installation of public lift stations along the bay. Right.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All abstaining? The motion passes. E, motion to approve J. Cody Ziegler of Cushman and Wakefield as the village's commercial realtor.
I'll give a quick summary as you're, yeah, why don't you hand those out? Come on, yeah, we gotta put you to work. So for those who don't know, we previously worked with Colliers as our commercial realtor. Jim Larkin was our agent and he helped us market the smaller lots that we have throughout the industrial park. As you all know, we're left with a 15-acre large parcel that we really need to market towards a large anchor tenant. Due to the size of that lot and its proximity to the highway, we feel pretty confident it's a very attractive lot for a large developer. So in order to get at that big fish, I wanted to make sure that we partnered with a company and an agent that has experience in doing just that. So no offense to Colliers, they did a great job for the items that we needed. But now we feel it's appropriate to pass the torch to really get aggressive on that final lot. And so that's where we ran into Mr. Ziegler here, who can introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Bert Ziegler. I'm a developer, we also broker position in Wakefield company. Got connected with, most recently Fredonia, our company took over or started the leasing and sale process for 2 of the 3 former Hyatt properties, which we just signed a lease for the 72,000 square foot building today.
Oh, good. That's public. You can say that now.
So it's good to get that along. With, me, I'd be the lead point of contact on, this, project. We do work on a team of 4, 3 producers, Sal, Gary McMahon, his profiles, and happy that you guys have, who's been in business for about 40 years, mostly industrial stuff, but he's done a little bit of everything through his long career. Steve Stiza, I both joined the company in 2017. He actually joined about 8 months prior to myself. And Linda Beza is a transaction coordinator. And we have bilingual capabilities, one that's very fluent in Spanish. And everything we focus on is industrial southeastern Wisconsin. Occasionally we'll do transactions outside of the state through a platform. So we're the Milwaukee office, similar to Colliers, so Colliers, Flag, Cushman Wakefield is probably the second, third largest actually real estate services firm in the world. So we have a really strong market penetration, both locally in Milwaukee as Cushman Wakefield Berkey Company, but nationally with industrial occupiers. So for example, Amazon has a requirement in the state that's not to have an office to handle that through the Cushman Wakefield. And many other large manufacturers. So do you want me to gauge through and just go through a level on this? I can. That front page is actually a picture from yesterday with curve going, and this is on the corporate guy, I mean, let's see about industrial. If you don't want to drive up, physical equipment for you guys. Current situation, you guys are aware. Strengths that we like about property, the infrastructure is there, it's located in the visibility. Challenges right now, which is market wide, is there's a lot of economic uncertainty, geopolitical environment. There's a lot of, especially on the corporate, you know, like large occupiers, they're inactive for like a long time. Just because of the geopolitical environment, not really sure what's going on with tariffs. We're seeing a lot of activity actually with more local businesses, the acquisition, leasing, development, which is good to see because for since 2020 on, it's the big Fortune 500,000 over years now. There's still a lot of pressure on construction and labor, so you know, takes a big check to get these developments done. It's not for everyone. And then just this sub-market in particular is relatively low velocity compared to other municipalities that we work on. But we can pick up some occupiers and quite a bit for you guys. We have just, you know, a basic economic profile on Zaki County. A lot of this, what we build out to is for our marketing average that we send. So there's information here that you guys likely already know, but we with that just kind of set the stage, and then we do get to go ahead. We can then drop on Red Lake and marketing average out to the market ASAP. We have the economic profile southeastern Wisconsin, our industrial market. I did highlight some of it. We did have negative absorption in the last quarter in the 7 counties that we track in Milwaukee. A lot of that was due to large vacation of Briggs and Stratton vacating their large Rock and Tulsa facility. Regal Rexnord vacated in West Milwaukee. Our market still remains really tight. Our vacancy rate at 4.10%, still historically low. Tight vacancies around 5.5% to 6.5%. So the market is, there's a lot of penetration, but there's a lot of suppression for more product to be added in the market, which, you know, will drive new developments. The environment has been difficult in the past 18 to 24 months for new development. And a lot of that vacancy rate is actually a little bit inflated just because there's the old manufacturing buildings that are not sitting up on the road. So if you want to get into the details more on the general market, we put a list of vetted properties together on page 6. These are just kind of to set the stage of, if a occupier is looking at land development, they're likely to probably take a look at these sites in addition to Fredonia, depending on what their requirement is in acreages. A couple of these are municipal owned parks as well in Cedarburg, the land that's listed for 89,900 acres owned by the municipality. And then in West Bend on Forest Place, they've got still about 100 acres where they want running products, recently constructed buildings. They're currently marketing it as a municipality, but they're not live on any building platforms, anything like that. Rest are private owners and private developers for profit. Not all of these have utilities readily available, which is like the price per acre as well. And you can see just based on our data with some of the challenges of development that we've been experiencing. On page 7, we included a number of sales comparables that highlighted the page after that, some economic impact on recent developments of the Berkeley area. Just to give you an idea of values and conversations with Chris, Chris, recent as this afternoon. On values, Colliers is currently marketing at 40,000 per acre. Be agreeable to that for a fully improved site, but grading in place. Market value for that is somewhere in the range of 90,000 to 10,000, potentially even more. Expensive has been put in utilities. So we feel that the price is aggressive. It should attract a lot of interest from interested occupiers, and no need to pivot on that marketing price unless it feels differently. Next page, on page 8, just wanted to highlight the economic impact. Let's get deeper dive. We did realize that there's about $8 million of equipment needed to be created with this 15 acres that's left over. We feel that the numbers are conservative within the TID for lots that have already been sold. So the real number is likely less than that 8 million. But with a development that would be the full 15 acres, should be able to realize assessments that much likely. We highlighted American Orthodontics building a speculative building built by F Street. We did read down this just because they're on page 9 prospects that we're tracking. Just because this does go on public record, and we don't want to get ourselves in trouble on putting companies that are out there or want to remain confidential. But we are tracking 10 prospects that have requirements over 40,000 square feet that would be candidates for this land. A lot of these we've been in active conversations with the former bank facility, 200 industrial drive or 280 industrial drive. We would move forward, reach out with this land and these prospects as well. And then canvassing beyond that, we pilot targeted users anywhere from 50,000 to 250,000 square feet. We have data on pretty much every single manufacturing, industrial, occupier sort of business throughout the state of Wisconsin in our CRM. So we typically will plug in e-blasts to those contacts and get them on a recurring monthly e-blast. We'll reach out directly via phone call, drop off marketing brochures at the company itself, and we'll also do agent mailers. So we target that on the user side. We also do work in co-broke with many of the different brokers that are in southeastern Wisconsin. So we make sure to hit the top 100 brokers for industrial in the area, and then the top 25 that are really active in the sub-market, and make sure we're regular conversations for market intelligence and data for any clients that they have that may be fit for the 15 acres that Fredonia has. But then centers of influence would be attorneys, bankers, corporations. Page 11 is benefits that we push out to the market. Municipal ownership will be aggressive on pricing. Again, with being in the TID, there could be a conversation around in development, something like that. It's got really good, it's really good visibility off of 37. We feel that this would be a profile company that values signage and the vehicles that come on 57. And could be a really nice overhead for their site, for a potential occupier. In an existing business park, with utilities, and then there's multiple forms of risk is what we push to market, and the site can be visible to a 5 acre, 11 acre, site as well. So, on the marketing side, we're working on a listing contract. We compile a lot of due diligence, and a lot of that is already done. Chris and Michelle have provided a substantial amount of information on utilities, the design standards, prior development agreements. We feel that we have a lot of data already, and that we package that into our marketing, and then start canvassing the market, blasting it out there so everyone knows that this opportunity is available. We make sure we're going on sidewalks with potential prospects. We make sure to include Fredonia every step of the way. We are scheduling the sidewalk, let you guys know, be over communicating on activity for the site. If it's necessary, we schedule meetings to walk with existing manufacturing facilities, something like that. We help with negotiations when we get to the point of a purchase sale agreement. We help with that, and we facilitate through due diligence and closing to get a successful transaction close for you guys, and moving forward. Marketing strategy, fairly straightforward here. We get our brochures out there. We potentially even explore looking at some sort of real estate community events. We've got a large vacancy. We have 17,000 square foot building and 200 industrial drive, likely hosted there. We are experimental and now I'm sure we'll be on board with that as sort of joint effort for existing building, development opportunities, reaching out to brokers, signage on the site. We take drone footage of the site and let occupiers get familiar with the area. That would be effective. Something unique that our team does is a measurable leasing plan. So Linda is responsible for scheduling all of our e-blasts. We get a number of different targeted users that we do e-blast on at least a monthly basis. Depending on what they may get it twice a month. We don't want to over e-blast them, so we get removed from the system. Steve and I would be the boots on the ground, making the phone calls, dropping off brochures, sending mail. Terry, who's our senior broker on the team, would be targeting specific brokers in the market that he has good relationships with. Again, it's a network, being in the business for 40 years. So we did put some benchmarks too that we started, say, July. Again, we're ready to get the funds if you guys are. We hope within the first 90 days, good uncover prospect that be interested in the site. And then by, I believe 6 months in would be our goal to start negotiating purchase sale. So we update you guys monthly, or if you want it bi-weekly, we update you guys with these numbers and keep ourselves accountable. Some relevant experience on transactions that we did recently. We had a large mega site in Beaver Dam. It's 520 acres, just closed at the end of last year. Some more local stuff in Menominee Falls. We have Johnson Supply acquired that land, and ACS and Corona. And we highlighted some of the value that was invested with those transactions. We have current pursuits as well, selling a little over 20 acres in Franksville, just signed up to Cedar Grove, 150 acres. That still has a long way probably to realize any development potential because there's no utilities there. We do have 110 acres in Franklin as well. Those are only current bank states that we have right now. We actually have a lot smaller parcel in Sussex. So we have the capacity to take this on as well. info about our company is on there. A case study on Beaver Dam transaction, it was a flex transaction because, the utility Alliant Energy, it's our client, actually didn't own land, had options on it, so, and those power, capacity issues for the site, especially for, the end user, who I can't say it is, but it's not hard, so that, site. Our contract terms, are a 6-month contract with, automatic renewals. In that first 6 months, if you guys aren't happy with our service and you want to part ways, that'll be a mutual termination. Anytime after that 6 months, you guys can part ways with us at any time unilaterally. Our fees would be 4% on a direct deal. Our team is representing the client, or unrepresented, to be 4% of the gross sale price. It's co-broke there. Anyone not on our team would be representing the end user. Then we split 3%, 3% free for that, which is consistent with any of these transactions in the market. We do have a floor, if you will, on commissions that would be based off of 40,000 per acre, which would be the marketing price.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
If let's say the listing price roughly would be around what your floor is on here, how would that adjust at all, or how does that operate?
If the transaction, so if we're listing for 40,000 an acre and it sells for 5, so then it would still be based on how we're proposing it, be based on 40,000.
Okay. So it wouldn't, and how often does this change in recent history? Like, how often does that change, or has this been for X amount of time, the exact offer?
It's a little different with the municipality, municipalities, the past have sold land for $1. So, we're not in this to make 4 cents. We want a typical market fee for the transaction. Earlier I said that the true market value is probably somewhere at $90,000 to $110,000 acre range. So our position on the brokerage side, we're already using a little bit of a discount, right? Because it's not full market value. You want to market it at full market value. You should definitely consider that. It would likely severely limit interest, just because then you're opening up to for-profit developers as well.
So you know for a fact that the market value of this area here is at 90,000 currently?
Yeah, based on the market, also the average 6,000. We're going through industrial sites are anywhere that 90 to 100.
Where do you find that information? Like, is there a place to verify that?
Yeah, it's all public. It's in there on page 4 or 5. We track every commercial sale throughout the state of Wisconsin. So we have a column of price per acre, sale acre, and our sale price. Average is 87,929 an acre. And I'm saying it's larger than that. For example, Donis Bay Road in Germantown, that's what F Street block for that speculative building at 60,000 an acre. That did not have, or that had some site challenges on it, so there needed some significant civil engineering to go through the site. It was not considered happening.
Would you say the average could be skewed based off of some like way overvalued properties compared to, you know, the mode per se of what's being sold?
I'm trying to understand.
Would you say that the average is severely inflated by a couple like outlier transactions?
Moyer Road, that was clearly there needed some site work on that, but that's right on the highway. If you're right on a major interstate, those land transactions are anywhere from $150 to $200,000 an acre, depending on how you go.
So off of State Highway 60, it went for 42,500 roughly. How does that compare to Highway 57?
So that was Three League Partners acquisition. That needed significant site work as well. So the developer's selling that land right now for $175,000 an acre because they put the utilities in and the roadway in. And that's right off the highway, and they're asking $175,000.
So that was at 42,000, so the utilities.
Yeah, they wanted it at 42, put the infrastructure in, and they're selling it for 175.
Do we have access to information? Is everything is there any work to be done per se in our area here, or is that all completely?
You asked about like the build out of the industrial park?
Yeah, like how would that compare? Like if you had to guess, or if you knew or had to guess, like how does that compare to some of these, like the one I just pointed out?
Well, the advantage of our site is that it's build ready, right? We have the grading done, the utilities are in, the road's gonna be in a couple of weeks. And so that's some of the challenges and extra costs that he's talking about that these sites didn't have, right? So we
Gotcha.
already have that stuff and we're pricing below the market, which makes it super attractive.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so again, just one more time, you don't expect like those fees, the bottom fee,
Yeah.
the percentages stuff, that doesn't fluctuate regularly?
It's pretty stable, depending on, the complexity of the transaction. If this were a farm deal that didn't have the infrastructure, and we're marketing that as to be improved at some point in time, we may ask for a larger commission of a 5 or 6%, 7.5% growth, just because many of the occupiers aren't willing to wait 24 months, then go get their approvals. So with this, it's pad ready. Buyer can put it under contract and due diligence for 60 or 90 days, close to the permits and going right. So there's not as many layers of complexity to get already done.
Then just last question,
Wouldn't change all of the sign.
just last question, just out of curiosity, do you have like hard, like statistics or hard like measurables of how you guys provide unparalleled service compared to like others in the area?
Yeah, I'm not sure any firm is ready to measurable results that we provide your clients. So a lot of shops will do the similar, take the brochure, get the aerials, occasionally doing that. And then, let you know when groups are interested. We put numbers behind what we're gonna do and go out and, we say in July, so he's gonna make sure he calls, or, 50 different companies this site. He's gonna deliver via mail, or dropping them off 20 different flyers. I'm gonna do the same on July. Here's to make sure he contacts 15 brokers and specifically mentions this site and 5 companies network. I don't think anyone else.
Do you have like hard, like compare and contrast measurables with other people?
And like
Do you think other companies have similar like baseline goals to hit measurables each month? Thanks.
Yep, yeah, I mean, and without, like, how I began, we're team four, we operate as team, we meet, multiple times a week, but we have a dedicated meeting every Monday. We never miss it, making sure that we're all up to speed on all the different transactions, that we're each week playing contact on. You can call, any one of us, and one of us will pick up the phone if you don't get me immediately, because I'm in a meeting or something like that. If you call Steve, he'll pick up the phone, he doesn't, but out there, one of us, we always try to be available to our clients.
Other questions? Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys having.
We do need motion.
We need a motion to approve.
Make
Jake?
a motion to approve Jake Cody, Ziegler, Cushman, and Wakefield as villages commercial real estate.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All abstaining? The motion passes. Discussion on purchase and sale of public properties involving parcel numbers 090500100900 and so on. This topic may necessitate a closed session discussion. Administrator Jenkins, do you want to give us an overview?
Sure, well, I guess as the board, do we need an overview in public? I mean, everybody's familiar with what we're talking about. Otherwise, there's some negotiations that I believe that you guys want to hear, which is appropriate to happen in closed session. So if you need an overview, I can do that in open session. Otherwise, we can
Is
move
an
forward.
overview needed?
Motion to adjourn in closed session.
Second.
Clerk Johnson, could you please take a roll call vote?
Trustee Eifert, trustee Frank,
Aye.
trustee Abedin,
Aye.
president Lenz,
Aye.
trustee Dorwart,
I
trustee Searing.
Aye.
Trustee Van Roon.
Aye.
All right, the meeting moves to closed session.
And just for the record, I believe you're going to be inviting in representatives from Jen's Place and representative from Bruce Pappy and Pappy Investments throughout this process. So,
Right.
okay.
We need to pause the recording. Okay. We are returned to open session. Item H, discussion and possible action on purchase and sale of public properties involving parcel numbers listed on the agenda. The village administrator will take appropriate action as discussed in closed session.
I'll look at Clerk Johnson to make sure that's enough.
By setting up a meeting between all of the parties to discuss a appropriate solution.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Moving on, number 7, correspondence.
No.
No correspondence. Items for future consideration,
July meetings,
July meetings.
there's 5 Thursdays in July. The first Thursday is July 3rd,
Just before the 4th of July.
and that's, you know,
And I'm already not here.
Likely.
and, right. I would say to go to the second, which is the 10th, and the 4th. And then we still have the 31st for,
So what we've done in the past is we've kept that third meeting and just to plan on having one meeting unless, there's a bunch of action items that we need to call another meeting, then we let you know. So I think right now it's looking like we'll be safe to do just the one meeting in July. But again, if other items come up that constitutes us needing to meet earlier or later, then we'd call that meeting.
yeah, that works better in a 4-week.
Yeah.
And with 4 Thursdays, with 5 Thursdays,
Yeah.
that's kind of a stretch to get all the way to the next month.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
the
Yeah.
bills and stuff.
Yep,
But that should be on the agenda. for
There are
next
5 Thursdays in the month of July.
in July.
Like one.
Well, the first is the third, is the 3rd of July, 4th of July is a holiday, and we're gonna have a number of people probably out on vacation, we may not have quorum. So having a meeting on the 3rd of July might be a problem. Trustee Dorward is suggesting we move the meetings to the 2nd and the 4th Thursdays, which
Should be the 10th and the 24th.
would allow us to keep somewhat to our every other week
Yeah.
methodology. Administrator Jenkins points out that we have in the past just skipped the first Thursday meeting and gone to the 3rd Thursday meeting, which would potentially be okay if there wasn't too much going on, but it does leave us with several weeks in either direction of not meeting, because there's that extra Thursday. We won't be meeting again until late into August.
So we'll have to put that on the agenda for next, meeting. We can't make a decision on that one.
Yeah, just make sure we can pay the bills on time and, be all right.
Yep.
Whatever the schedule is.
Any other new business?
No,
Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Think so.
The meeting adjourned.
Yes, the meeting is adjourned.